During last night's protest, a group of heavily armed militia who call themselves the New Mexico Civil Guard showed up. Protesters say their presence raises tensions and provokes violence. The mayor of Albuquerque and the governor want that group to stay away from protests. News 13's Rachel Knapp spoke with the New Mexico Civil Guard today. She's live in the studio this evening. Rachel?
Dean, this group tells me they are armed to deter violence and protect counter-protesters, but their presence makes protesters nervous. At last night's prayer and protest against the Juan de Oñate statue, about 8 members of the heavily armed militia who called themselves the New Mexico Civil Guard showed up.
Sir, why do you feel the need to be armed? Second Amendment.
The Civil Guard is a group of people who say are not affiliated with law enforcement or political party, but they've been present at a handful of recent protests in New Mexico, which has caused an unease among protesters.
And when they do show up to protect property like they say they are, as we saw yesterday with the events that occurred, they are placing the protection of property over people's lives.
And we certainly don't feel protected. We feel endangered when they're around, and they intend to intimidate us because they don't agree on the issues that we're fighting for.
We're not there to intimidate peaceful protesters. We are there as a visual deterrent to those violent elements that are tagging along to this, because they need to know they're showing up with bats, chains, knives, and sometimes guns, but there is good men who are there willing to put themselves in between them and the rest of the city.
The militia says they were there to protect counter-protesters, but things got even more tense between the groups after a protester was shot.
Got my kit out and then got the gauze and stuff out. I handed it to another gentleman who was there, told him hold on, because then I ran back to the suspect to make sure he was disarmed. We formed a perimeter around we didn't know if it was murder suspect or assault suspect. We formed a perimeter, helped keep the integrity of the investigation by making sure none of the evidence was taken from the area, and then at that point formed a perimeter and kept the others from attacking him.
People I spoke with do not want the militia at future protests.
I don't want the narrative to get taken away from this is a peaceful prayer gathering. What happened because of a white militant group showing up is only inciting violence, and that was not the intent of that event whatsoever.
The Civil Guard says the shooter from last night, Stephen Baca, is not affiliated with them. Members of the Civil Guard were arrested by APD last night, but were released a few hours later without any charges. Dean.
All right, Rachel, thank you. Lawmakers, the governor, condemned the group, saying in part, the heavily armed individuals who flaunted themselves at the protest, calling themselves a Civil Guard, were there for one reason: to menace protesters, to present an unsanctioned show of unregulated force. That's the governor. Today, the mayor mentioned the group, saying that these militia or vigilante groups attempt to prop up white supremacy and intimidate protesters.